Imagine this. You are sitting in a small room at Udaan Bhavan, New Delhi. A headset is pressed against your ears, flooding your brain with double audio. You hear muffled voice of an examiner behind a blurry wooden partition mixed with ambient room noise. On the screen in front of you, a 30-minute countdown timer flashes into life. You have no time to prepare, no time to look at your route charts. Suddenly, the examiner goes completely silent for 4 seconds. Is it a radio communication failure? Or is it a trap? You make one minor slip in your phraseology, and just like that, thousands of rupees spent on flights, days of intense studying, and your confidence as a student pilot are gone. Welcome back to Fly with Sudharshan. If you watched part 1 of this series, you know what it takes to clear the written paper of RTR exam for pilots. But as of 2026, the DGCA has completely taken over the RTR Part 2 practical exam. The old system is gone. The new format is designed to simulate highly intense real world radio telephony scenarios. And let us be entirely honest, cadets are failing in rows because they are walking into the lab completely blind. In this video, I'm putting you in my shoes. I recently sat in that exact odd set. I'm going to reveal the exact screen layout you will face, the specific phraseology traps the examiner used to disqualify you, and the exact real time emergency scenarios I had to navigate to keep my logbook alive. Stick around until the end because I will also share the exact framework you need to guarantee a pass on your very first attempt. Let us pass your check ride. Before you can even face the examiner, you have to successfully navigate the bureaucracy. And this is where many student pilots fail before the exam even begins. Once you clear your RTR Part 1, your immediate next step is to log into eGCA portal. You need to pay the official fees for the RTR Part 2 practical exam, which is 500 rupees. Now, keep an eye on the slot availability. If the slots are open, lock yours in immediately. If they are not, you need to check the portal daily until they are open up and then apply. But there is the absolute biggest logical trap that ruins slots for dozens of cadets every single session. When you open Google Maps in New Delhi, do not search for DGCA headquarters. If you do, it will navigate you to an entirely different address. They will tell you that the exam will be conducted here and will make you wait without giving proper directions. By the time you realize you are in the wrong venue, your slots will be gone, and a lot of students make this mistake. Trust me, when I was there were many students who actually made this mistake. If you have spent thousands of rupees on the flights and stay, this is a waste of both time and money. Search strictly for Udaan Bhavan, Safdarjung Airport, Delhi. Reach Udaan Bhavan, go to the reception and get the entry pass. Then get inside Udaan Bhavan and get your security check completed. After that, head downstairs and you will find direction to RTR lab pasted on the wall. Follow that or simply ask someone. Initially, you will be asked to keep all your bags outside. You must carry only your gate pass and a valid ID that is recent with updated details and your admit card. They will assign you a token number and do your verification based on your token number one at a time. Then you are allowed to keep your ID, entry pass, and gadgets out in your bag. Then one examiner will give you a group of students the basic briefing. They'll explain how it is done inside the lab, what phraseology to be used, and how marks are awarded. Coming to the phraseology briefing, you are expected to use ICAO phraseology only. Specifically, the briefing officer will tell you to use holding point when it comes to the runway holding points and not old shot. Old shot is only used for taxiway holding points. And for flight levels, when all numbers are given, you are expected to say flight level 200 or flight level 300 instead of 200 or 300. For non-all numbers, you can usually use flight level 250, flight level 320, or so on. The same rule applies for visibility, RVR, altitudes or height. Then you are supposed to wait for your turn according to the token number issued. The wait time depends on your token number. There are currently, as 2026, 3 labs for conducting practical exams. So, at a time, 3 students or cadets will be called each to the separate labs, and the exams will be conducted separately for them. This will take the time of 30 minutes for each student or less if the exercise are completed early. Then, after the exercise, you will be asked to submit the feedback form. This is very important. A lot of students take it lightly and do not fill it. But trust me, it is very important for future cadets to improve the exam process, which I will discuss in detail later in this video. So do not miss it. Once you have filled it, you are asked to leave immediately. Now, the elephant in the room, the exam inside the RTR lab. How is it conducted? How does it really happen? How does it feel? What is the motto of DGCA behind taking over the RTR exams? It is to simulate the real world RT scenarios. Is it successful or efficient? What is the time limit of the exam? How does the time limit affect the cadets? What is the difference in the question paper and the template of the question paper? How questions are asked and what the expectations are from the examiner in the room? How are the questions displayed on the screen? What about route maps? Are they the same or different? And finally, how to actually prepare for new RTR exam conducted under DGCA. Though the aim here is to simulate the real world RT for pilots, as DGCA has taken over, it is in the process of improvement and not yet completely practical according to me. Let us look at the format drawing of what the screen looks like and what all is there on the screen. The monitor screen is divided into 2 parts, horizontally from left to right. The left 70 to 80% we will call section A, and the right 20 to 30% we will call section B. The left part is divided into 2 parts vertically from top to bottom. The top 70% call it section A1, where your ATIS route charts or taxi maps of any kind are displayed according to the questions and scenarios. The bottom 30% call it section A2, again divided left to right. 70% of this call it A2-1 is where the questions or scenarios are asked. The right 30% is where you will have all different frequencies, and below that will be the timer running in minutes, seconds and milliseconds. Now coming to the rightmost part of the screen. This is again divided into 2 parts from top to bottom. The top part contains all the aircraft information like aircraft type, registration, call sign, passenger count, POB, departure aerodrome, destination aerodrome, airlines, etc. And the bottom part will contain information like route in the waypoints and VORs, cruise flight level as per the flight plan, type of flight, weather, VFR or IFR, and then below that will be the METAR. Note, you can hypothetically use any letter from A to Z in startup or taxi transmissions for information. For example, information alpha or echo for exam, because it is not given in the METAR and will be told to you in the briefing before. So in all the above sections, the only thing that changes are the charts or map and the question section. Apart from that, all the other sections remain the same throughout the exam and the timer will be running. If all questions are not attended within the 30 minutes, then the exam will end. If you complete before 30 minutes, then you can get your feedback from the examiner and leave. We pilots see our flight plan, weather reports and plan before the flight with pre-flight briefing. But in RTR exam, we are asked to immediately start transmission with a timer of 30 minutes starting immediately as you sit at your table. You do not get to see any ATIS route charts until your scenario in the question needs it. This makes it very hard on the go to save time and answer your RT with transmission. Given that the ATIS route charts here is not the same as we usually practice with. Also, it is a little more complex and add different bright colors which do not properly represent the waypoints, boundaries, airport namings, routes, etc. And the timer will be running. Time starts immediately for 30 minutes. There is no briefing time. You will have a table and a monitor screen with a normal PC headset, which is not a pilot headset. It gives you double voice from outside and inside. There will be a wooden partition between you and the examiner, but you can hear them and they can see you to an extent like a blurry. You can also notice that they're right in front of you. And an A4 sheet and a pen will be given to you. Apart from that, nothing to carry into the lab. As soon as you enter the lab, there is no briefing, the exam starts immediately. Don't expect any briefings of any type. The counter starts immediately as soon as you enter the lab. Here, the audio quality is so bad. It is not really a radio voice, but it is like a phone call voice coupled with double audio. It does not simulate like a normal RTs. In my case, there was only one examiner, but in most of my friends' case, there was one examiner as an ATC and the another as a different aircraft. No chats are initially given. There is nothing given in paper. Everything is electronic and see shown or displayed right in front of you on that small old monitor, which is very hard to read with lot of information clubbed together. Remember, it is very important. Do not change frequencies until and unless asked by the ATC. If given taxi charts, there will be multiple aircrafts and your aircrafts will not be highlighted in any ways. You can only find the aircraft by looking if there is any number written in front of them, that is the stand number, which is tiny at to be pointed. I actually asked this to my examiner and that is how I know. For example, 03 written in front of the aircraft, and it is only written for your aircraft and not in front of any other aircraft. And it is the taxiway chart, it's a kind of top down approach like a drone eye or a god's eye. It is also written in a very small size, hard to identify. And only simple one runway airports will be used for the exam to reduce complexity. Regarding ATIS route chart, I found it completely different in the exam. Importantly, it does not have proper color codings for FIR boundaries, tower, approach, and area control or FIR boundary marking colors are not maintained. Also, you do not get frequencies on the chart. So it is kind of hard to know where you need to switch frequencies because vertical limits are not present. Also, waypoint symbols like VOR or NDB symbols and colors are not the same as we practice. Especially the colors are bright red or magenta for everything. So differentiating on the chart between different entities like waypoint, VOR, control boundaries and routes, which are also bright red or magenta, is very difficult, especially when you are seeing it for the first time. And also remember, you don't get one whole full charts, you only get the view of from departure aerodrome to destination aerodrome or only the part that is asked in your question and relevant. Also remember to use the call sign and not the registration. Oftentimes while we practice, we use aircraft registration like Victor Tango Foxtrot Mike Lima as the call sign, but it will lose you marks because in DGCA we need to use the call sign given. Also, the call sign is to be spelled differently. For example, IGO 339er is to be spelled as I fly 339er, not as India Golf Charlie 339er. So, different airlines have registered different phraseology with ICAO. Here, Indigo uses IGO or IGC, comment below, spoken as I fly. Comment below for different phrases used by other airlines that you know. Also, info on the aircraft, weather, destination, departure aerodrome, frequencies, POB, aircraft type, airliner call sign, registration, etc. will be on the screen throughout the exam from start to end. No need to worry. ATIS route charts are different, complex, and given only when the question is asked. So you do not have time to check your planned route on the chart before the exam. This makes it very hard to read and answer the question, meaning it makes transmitting on RT difficult given the timer is running. An A4 sheet is also given along with a pen to write and will be thrown away once the exercise ends. There are no marks awarded for this writing, which was the case in the WPC exam. But in DGCA, the only marks that are awarded are for your RTR transmissions. Because of the format of the information shown on the screen, You do not know what to expect when no briefing is given inside the lab. As there is very little time assigned, it confuses you and adds panic. Once nerves take over, you will forget what you are actually doing and start transmitting without thinking. When the examiner do not respond for just 2 seconds, you are expected to do a radio communication failure call, which is an RCF, which is transmission line call. At the end, after completion of your exercise, the feedback will be given on your entire exercise. This part was the most liked part, where my examiner gave me the feedback in detail and what all I missed, which was very helpful, and you can also give them the feedback. Your feedback is very important for you and the future pilots who wants to appear for RTR exam to improve the exam in a better way. DGCA has taken over RTR exams recently, and it will take time for it to improve. And it will take time for it to improve. They have completely changed the approach on conducting RTR exams and want to simulate it as real world, which was not done by anyone earlier. So it may take time for it to be at its best or improve, but our genuine feedback will surely help them improve faster and better. So please take the time to fill out the feedback form given to you after you exit the exam hall. Let us look at the exact questions and the scenarios that I got in the exam. My aircraft details were as follows: call sign I fly 339er, which is IGO or IGC 339er. Airlines or operator was Indigo. Registration was Victor Tango something. POB was given, which was 181. Departure was VOCC, which was Coimbatore. Arrival was VOMM, which was Chennai. Aircraft was Airbus. METAR was given. Route was given, not the route chart. Route was given. And for frequencies, there were no ground, but tower, approach, and area control frequencies were given at the first. Initially, a taxi chart was given on the left part. As the question progressed, the ATIS route chart was given only for the scenario, which was from Coimbatore to Chennai, not an entire chart. The first question was for startup and pushback. That there is no ground frequencies available, I would have to contact the tower. Then ATC clearance and taxi instructions were the scenario. Then the question was like, during taxi, the crew informs you that a passenger is having a cardiac arrest and you are at a runway holding point. The solution here is to make a pan call with a request for taxi instruction to return back to the apron or the stand immediately without delay and request medical assistance upon arrival at the gate. And after that, the scenario or the question was, one passenger has disembarked and now you are ready to depart. You are at the apron or stand 3 and you need to ask for taxi instruction. Do not forget to revise the POB, which is -1 of original POB, as a passenger has disembarked and the information needs to be incremented because METAR updates every 30 minutes. You are rolling on the runway and there is a fox crossing the runway, take action. After that, you are re-cleared for takeoff. You are departed the aerodrome and request for climb to flight level 270. Remember, do not change frequencies until told by ATC. Then the next question was, you get a TKS RA and you must take action. Next, you need to make a position report. This is when the ATIS route chart are given or displayed. Then the next scenario was, you suspect a fuel leak in one of the engines and you wish to return to the departure aerodrome. Note, this is a pan call, not a mayday call or a normal call. Finally, you are on a straight-in approach and the runway is visible and you have an engine failure or a fire and you wish to land straight in on the runway, which is inside. Note, for this scenario, it's a mayday call. In between all these scenarios, ATC, meaning the examiner, goes silent for a brief 2 to 3 seconds, max 5 seconds, and does not reply to you. This will be trickier in real life because your total time is 30 minutes and ATC goes silent for a brief time of 1 to 5 seconds max. Now you have to interpret this as an RCF, meaning radio communication failure, and transmit accordingly. Other questions like relay messages from or to another aircrafts were asked to my fellow friends apart from the above questions or scenarios which were asked to me. In conclusion, the new RTR exam may appear simple, but it is not. Once you sit on a chair in the lab and 30 minutes timer starts, it feels like a odd set. Combined with no real practice with new DGCA charts and its formats, with the timer immediately starting without a briefing of what to expect from the examiner or even the questions beginning before you can properly read the aircraft and flight information. One mistake and everything goes away. All the time you are spent, the money spent on the travel, which is thousands, and especially the time, which will all break your confidence. So don't worry. I have personally given this exam and been in your shoes, and have many friends who are also cadets and have given this exam and cleared it. So I will share the formula with you and give you entire live classes and practice sessions with a real simulation like DGCA exams, which gives you confidence so you do not panic and fail your exam. Trust me, no AIs are helpful here because they aren't real humans and do not exactly simulate like a DGCA examiner. These AI have never been to any DGCA RTR exams themselves, but I have been, and also many of my friends who have flying experience. So you need a real human to simulate your exams like the one who has been in the exam halls. So I will directly be the one who will simulate the DGCA RTR exam for you and also teach you theory on RTR part 1 and part 2 exams. I will teach you how to clear RTR part 1 written exam, all theories included, which is radio aids and principles in navigation, meteorology, regulations for RTR, visual aids in aircraft navigation and airport for RTR 1, rules for aircrafts, etc. will be covered for RTR Part 1 exams along with transmissions. We will also cover how to read ATIS route charts, theory on ATIS, ATC, approach, tower and ground controller, different airspaces and how airspaces are defined, flight plan and details on how to file, its validity and RVSM airspaces. And for RTR Part 2, which is practical exam, we cover all the phraseology according to ICAO syllabus for RTR, which is recommended by DGCA. All types of transmissions and the formulas to remember them quickly in your exams. This includes readability, time check, startup and pushback, priority startup, taxi request, ATC clearances, line up request, takeoff request, and abort or reject takeoff. We also cover IFR and VFR departure, IFR and VFR arrivals, position reporting, weather rerouting and diversion calls for different airports, and RVSM calls and transmissions. We go deep into RCF, which is radio communication failure transmission during takeoff, approach, cruise, bad weather, and also emergency situations, urgency and distress like pan and mayday. We will cover pan calls with scenarios, mayday call with scenarios, security call with scenarios, RCF in pan and mayday calls, relay messages from another aircraft due to RCF transmission or to another aircraft due to RCF on your aircraft, windshield report calls, microbus report transmission, clearance to enter AT's route, FIR or different airspace transmissions and more. We provide different scenario based question for your practice. All this with practical airline scenarios which will not only help you to clear your DGCA exam but it will also help you in your commercial piloting job daily. Along with this, we will also conduct quizzes for part 1 exams, and for part 2 we conduct multiple one-on-one live RTR exam simulation session exactly like in DGCA RTR practical exam labs until you are exam ready and share your feedback for your improvement. All this from the comfort of your home online with recordings available for revision. So what are you waiting for? Contact us on below email or Instagram or click on the below link to register and start immediately. Here are a few tips to self study. Take help from another human as ATC or an examiner. Set a timer of 30 minutes and practice. Use surprise questions and scenarios. For more, contact me for webinar or RTR classes or one-on-one connect for guidance for prep for RTR exams. You can email me at flywithsudharshan@gmail.com or reach out to me on Instagram, which is flywithsudharshan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the flight deck.